5 stars coming to the Big Ten. This one's going out west to Washington. Jedd Fisch able to bring in offensive lineman Cody Green. Green comes from California, top 20 overall ranked player. California has a ton of high school football players. He's the number 2 player in the entire state. In fact, he is the 6th highest ranked recruit to go to Washington in the modern internet era. You look at the overall rank for them, 13th in the country. That's fantastic for UW. Cody Green, the top of that list. Here's what Jedd Fisch had to say on the first signing day.
Well, we're excited, first of all, just about the class in general and the fact that we were able to land, a top 13th ranked class in the country. And our recruiting department, our coaches did an amazing job. With Cody, his brother's been on our team. We've known about Cody really since we were in Arizona, but obviously he got onto our radar as soon as we arrived here, being that he's a Seattle native. And we started watching him play and watching what he can do and seeing what he did at Modern Day. And then obviously we feel like he could be an elite tackle for us for years to come.
I mentioned 13th is so impressive. They've never done better in the modern era. 13th in the country for Jedd Fisch in Washington is saying something. And again, the centerpiece of that is the offensive lineman, Cody Green. And he's another one of those guys, Alan, you talk about all the time who play multiple sports. He not only was a high school basketball player, he won a state title in that sport.
Yeah, when you have big guys who can play basketball, that's a left tackle right there. And I think he is the left tackle of the future at Washington, maybe sooner rather than later, and a future NFL guy. It doesn't take long watching this film to see why he was so heavily recruited, was committed to Oregon for a period of time, even though Washington recruited him from his freshman year. Didn't hurt that his brother was on the roster, but they end up getting him in. I mean, this is one of the best players coming into this conference, regardless of position, and I think one of the more can't-miss type guys. Derek Coleman-Bursa, same thing, brother on the team, so Washington, the sun was shining on them this year with these brothers of these elite recruits being on the roster. This guy was an absolute machine, was making plays in the backfield. I mean, I think nearly 60 tackles for loss throughout his career, 6'5", 267 pounds, so coming in ready to go, physically ready to play. Blaise LaVista, not as heavily recruited as those guys, and it just didn't add up when you watched him play. When you watched him play 7-on-7, he was very productive throughout his high school career. He ran track. I think this is one of the sleepers of the entire Big Ten. Really, really outstanding evaluation job by Jedd Fisch and his crew. He obviously, Coach Fisch has some receiver background, and I think a lot of schools missed the boat on this guy, and he's going to be a really, really good player for the Huskies.
I think Gavin Day is going to be another one of those players that's going to be a perfect fit for what Washington wants to do. When you look at Ryan Walters and what he loves and covets and wants to have in his safeties, he wants them big and long, 6'3", able to do that, being able to play down in the box, understanding that he can trigger on some of these quick routes, these plays that are there. And then you look at Bonner, being able to run the football, runs it out of the spread, but look at his ability to evade the tacklers. Again, does an outstanding job being patient and getting his eyes upfield, is a patient runner, allowing his offensive lineman to get out in front. He's a guy that's going to be able to help them and also help them in the passing game, which is always a big part of what Washington wants to do. He's going to have an opportunity to contribute, whether it's special teams early or has a chance to get into that backfield and make some plays there as well.
Jedd Fisch is doing some work. I mean, he had a good class last year, has an absolutely great class this year. Similar can be said for the University of Illinois. Brett Bielema, some great success on the field, and he's bringing in some talented guys as well. A top 25 recruiting class for the orange and blue, highlighted by Nasir Rankin, a top 300 overall player, one of the best guys from the state of Illinois. Here's Brett Bielema from the first signing day talking about Rankin specifically.
Nas, very special player from Morgan Park. Ironically, the same high school that Io went to. And when we first started recruiting Nas, I talked to Brad Underwood and, spoke of, when Io came here, like the way he changed the trajectory of the Illinois basketball program. I think this kid has some of these same tributes. Very quick feet, very gifted, extremely good competitor. I think a kid that really, once he gets a ball in his hands, is dynamic as all get out. Great mom and dad, great environment, and a very proud Chicago kid. I mean, he was literally recruited by everybody in the country, and thankfully he chose us, and has really been a staple of our program for a long time.
Look at the best classes in Illinois history. This one's right up there. 22 is the highest ranking for an Illinois class in the modern era. This class ranked 23rd. And Howard, you heard him talk about Io there, who's of course referencing Io DeSunmu, a Chicago area kid who went to Illinois, was a star for the Illinois basketball program, now playing in the NBA, same high school producing this here ranking.
He's really an outstanding player, also plays basketball really good in that area. So when you start to think about how that's going to translate to the University of Illinois in this football program, it's going to be up to the coaching staff to decide where they ultimately want to have him. But he's outstanding at the wide receiver position, really has the ability to create separation from receivers. Because of his basketball background, can go up, attack the ball at the high point. You see him getting the end around here, is not afraid to get behind his pads and make some plays.
You know, as we watched senior film of all the Big Ten commits, Nick Hankins was one of the best in the entire conference as far as his senior season. He did it all over the field, all three phases. He's going to be a cornerback at the next level, but was really outstanding on the offensive side of the ball and also as a return man. Just one of the best athletes coming into this class. I think once he focuses solely on corner, you look at the anticipation, the speed, the ball skills, he's an impact player. Same thing with Jacob Eberhardt, whose father played at Illinois, but he looked at a lot of different schools before ultimately committing to Illinois. 6'4", 215 pounds, so the temptation was there to move him from safety, wide receiver to linebacker, but Illinois is planning on playing him as a safety, and you see a lot of these big hybrid defenders all around college football and the NFL now. He fits that.
Familiar name in the transfer additions. How about this guy, Caden Hauser, comes from East Carolina, but before then he was at Michigan State.
Yeah, really started out at Michigan State. Things didn't work out, but he's went on to Carolina and was really able to develop as a player. And I think that's a big part of when you start to looking at these portal guys, what has the success been in the previous years? Can they lead a team? And that's something that he'll be able to do. When you look at Perry as well, another player that has a chance to step in. They lost a lot at the wide receiver position, whether it's transfers or whether guys moving on. Here's a spot there at the wide receiver position to make some plays. Big body guy that can go up and get it, and they'll need that type of receiver in this Illinois offense this year.
Go back to Hauser for just a second. He started all 12 games for East Carolina this year. Very efficient, 65% of his passes were completed. But he's got a lot of starting experience, Howard. Remember, back when he was a redshirt freshman at Michigan State, he started 7 games that season.
Yeah, thrust into action there, but he's a guy that's played a lot. And I think when you start to look at quarterbacks and you start to think about who can lead your program, when they've had the ability to start and they have starts in their past, and now they've really had a chance to learn the game. To me, that's the part of it. When you think about this Illinois football team, it's really a lot of what they do and the success they have is going to be contingent on having a quarterback that can make plays for you. You only need to look at what the program had the last 3 years.
Never had more wins in back-to-back seasons than Illinois had this past year and the year before combined.